Hey, what are you doing on March 6th and 7th? How about making your way to DX3 in Toronto for a 2-day deep dive into digital marketing, digital advertising, and digital retailing? Along with a free exhibit hall, there are going to be over 40 sessions, including speakers from Microsoft, Salesforce.com, Google, Well.ca, Facebook, Lowe's, and Mountain Equipment Co-op. Come see what one attendee called a rare thing in the digital world. Register at www.dx3canada.com today. See you there. Welcome to This Week in Location-Based Marketing, the most trusted podcast dedicated to the new business of location. Welcome to This Week in Location-Based Marketing, episode number 114. This is recorded live Friday evening, January 25th, 2013. My name, Rob Woodbridge from Untether.tv, and I'm in the frigid, freezing north, Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. With me as always,
Asif Khan from the Location-Based Marketing Association. And also in the cold today, but not as much snow as you. So there you go.
No, you don't even know cold. Toronto doesn't get cold. It's like, oh my.
We don't get snow. We don't really get cold, but hey.
It's like -5 in Toronto. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm going to have to actually put socks on my loafers. Right? Is that it?
Something like that. You got to get up the heated blankets. Yeah, you know.
This is, of course, the place you come to understand what has happened in the past week in the location-based marketing world. We add a little twist. We add our own thoughts, our own opinions. We cover the news. We cover a lot of people. Got a great guest. Boy, this is it's great shows. And this is episode number 114. That's consecutive weeks that we've done this. I don't remember when we started. It just seems like a lifetime ago, Asif, and here we are.
It does. It's but you know, there's just so much news out there. There's so much to cover on a week by week basis, and why stop now? Especially when we got all these people, you know, commenting and sending us encouragement. We love it, and you know, sponsors coming along and whatnot. So yeah, it's fun.
It is. Well, and certainly the news items just flow off the page, and it's. The challenge, I think, is limiting the number of news items. And so we'll make some format changes as we go. We are experimenting always. And maybe even something new that pops up in the next week or so. So just keep your ears and eyes open for that. Before we dive into the stories, before we hear from Grant Ritchie, who's the founder and CEO of a company called Locationary, who's our special guest, before we get into any of that, I'd really like to know, is there anything that's going on, Asif, with the Location-Based Marketing Association? You guys are so sedentary. You sit back, you're always in Toronto, you don't do anything, no events.
Yeah, you know, there's absolutely nothing going on. You know, I'm not traveling for the next, week and a half or so. So that's good. Actually at home doing some local Toronto stuff. Doing a little project with DMTI Spatial on some of their data around financial services. So that's kind of interesting stuff. And, we're gearing up for that first week of February with the Apps World North America Conference in San Francisco, a huge event, that we're involved in, and looking forward to that. There's Digital Signage Expo not too far along right after that, towards the end of February. Cross Media TO, which is an interesting event here in Toronto as well, in the third week of February. So there's plenty coming on. February is a busy month, so I'm happy to have a little slow time for the next week. Let's call it
slow time. I don't believe that there's such a thing, right? We all should also before we even forget it, we should also bring up the fact that in March, DX3 is going to be in Toronto.
Yes.
And we love those guys, the Anthonys over at DX3, Hut to Hut, that are putting that show on. So take a look at DX3. It's in Toronto. 5,000, 6,000, 8,000 people in the mobile industry descending in Toronto.
Yeah, phenomenal event. It's up on the LBMA site if you want to link to it as well. And just take a look at the calendar there. There's a long list of events on the LBMA calendar, including several of our own chapters. I know Atlanta and Amsterdam have events already on the docket. San Francisco and New York, we'll be announcing shortly as well events there. So, yeah.
Now, before we get into the news, I want to mix it up a little bit here because I didn't even warn Asif that I was going to do this, so just waiting for his reaction. But I want to talk about an app that I have become obsessed with over the last 48 hours, and it is location dependent. It is relevant to this. It's an app called Moves, Moves. I'm going to throw it up on my screen here like this. You'll see a little bit of it. This is everybody's familiar with Fitbit and all of these fitness trackers that track how many steps you take throughout the day, as well as how many hours of sleep you get. And I'm fascinated by this space. And this one, Moves, it's moves-app.com, tracks your whereabouts, tracks how many steps you've taken because it's in your pocket. Your phone is always with you. You don't need an extra little bid or anything like that attached to you. No bracelet, no anklet, no pin, no nothing. And it's pretty cool. It's fascinating to see your travels, and it understands whether you're in the car, you're on a bike, you're walking. It understands how long you've been sedentary, so it kind of tells you where you've been during the day, and then it allows you to, through Foursquare, not check in, but identify the locations that you're at. So this is my latest obsession. I wanted to start with it because I'm obsessed with it. Moves-app.com. We're going to try to get those guys on the show because it's a pretty fascinating thing that they're building here. So I just thought I'd bring that up.
Yeah, it looks really interesting. I haven't had a chance to play with it yet, but I will now, obviously.
Yes.
That whole space of kind of tracking movement from a location perspective, HipGeo kind of looks at it from a different perspective around kind of bookmarking, what you're doing and giving you a life history, so to speak. From a location point of view. There's a guy I was talking to recently in Germany that is doing something similar to Moves, but more focused on helping you understand, where you're, because it knows kind of the type of movement you're doing and where you're doing it. They're applying that to parking and transit applications and things like that. So, anyhow,
these kind of things really fascinate me. It's like Path. I use an app to help me wake up that I can never remember the name of it, but it's called give me a second. It's called Sleep Cycle. These things like Path and HipGeo and Moves are really, I think, the beginning of the next generation of location aware applications, and it's to me this is it's pretty cool. So if you have time, if you have the inclination, and you're not afraid of your privacy being violated, go to moves-app.com. All right, what do you say we actually start the show?
Let's do it.
Sorry about that. Fascinating. And I swear, if I have another obsession about something like that isn't Bruce Springsteen, I'll bring it up right here, just so that you guys can hear it first.
I like the qualifier.
Yeah. It won't be Bruce Springsteen, although I have an example of that coming up in one of the stories.
It won't be Shakira.
No, it will not. She had a baby. Who knew? It was a perfect week, right?
There you go.
So this week we got 5 great stories for you. We're going to interject a little bit more opinion about these, but we've got some great stories. We're going to start it off with a company called Listia. Partnering with this other company. I swore that Best Buy went out of business. I swear to God that they went out of business, but apparently they are still in business doing something, and they partnered with a company called Listia. So let's start by understanding what this relationship is.
Yeah, so Listia is a service. It's a Y Combinator company. Andreas and Horowitz, Y Combinator. So these guys are got some funding. Obviously, they're all about rewards, and they've come up with this partnership with Best Buy that basically says, look, if you bring in your old stuff effectively, you can trade that old stuff in for rewards that can then be redeemed at Best Buy. So here's my take on this. People like rewards. Who doesn't want to get something for their old stuff that they don't need anymore? We used to call that a garage sale. Now we call it Listia, apparently. But anyways, here's my issue with this. My issue is that, as you said, we thought Best Buy was dead. This is grasping at straws. Best Buy needs to find ways to drive traffic into their store. They need to be different and find differentiators from every other, place I can buy electronics and TVs and so on out there. And for me, all the more reason to go hyper-local and really, really understand people around each store, the neighborhoods around those stores. This kind of thing should be done on a very local basis. This is where you should be applying, partnerships with peer-to-peer marketplaces, with the Zarleys of the world, the PeerBees of the world, all of that kind of stuff. If I've got stuff that I want to get rid of, fine, okay, but at least understand where these people are relative to the nearest Best Buy store, and find ways to connect in a hyper-local marketplace model, right? If I'm going to go trade stuff with somebody else, like from a Zarly or a Pure B marketplace perspective, why not have Best Buy be the place that we meet up, and do that? This is the challenge I have with it. The concept of getting rewarded for my old stuff, I like. That's good. Everybody, there's a life for everything, and recycling and all that kind of stuff. I'm a big fan of, obviously, but what I don't like is that they haven't understood the importance of the local store, driving traffic to it, and the community around it, and how we monetize.
Yeah, well, I don't have anything else to add to that. This is Best Buy just doesn't get it, and I think that the big challenge that they're going to have is. You got to get people into the store for them to be able to buy things. So I'm right on with that. And there are so many other more worthy partners that could do this on a local level. So what do you think? I mean, Listia, Y Combinator backed company, as you said, a great pedigree of companies of investors, but maybe this isn't a match made in heaven at this point. But if you want to check out Listia, go to listia.com. And if you have anything to say as we go through these stories, reach out through email. You know our email addresses. I'll give them to you one time this show. rob@untether.tv or asif@thelbmade.com. I will not repeat that. Ever.
And the other quick thing I want to add to this is as we think about hyperlocal, as we think about what Best Buy should be doing, the comments I just made around that, I can't underscore the importance of the loyalty piece, right? There's people who love Best Buy. There's people who go to Best Buy over and over again. And, how is that factored into the rewards that are going on in this program? Like I don't see any recognition there. This is just, I got some stuff I want to get rid of. I get some points. I get some stuff I can redeem at Best Buy. What about the people who shop at Best Buy, 4 times, a month? What about all those guys? Like, what are you doing with them? And how are they getting rewards? Are they getting rewards on Listia too? No. So I think the loyalty reward piece is something that needs to be looked at when you're starting to put these things together. And so on that note, just a quick sidebar, one of our members, FrontFlip, this week out of Kansas City, which is a loyalty platform, raised $3.75 million. And so kudos to them for doing that. They're in the digital scratch card business, that retailers like that should be looking at too. So maybe you get your rewards, you scratch, and you see what you get. There's combinations of things here that can be put together from a loyalty, rewards, analytics perspective that I think, some of these guys are missing the point. So anyways, take a look at FrontFlip too, 3.75 million Series B for them. And one of the guys behind that, they got some serious guys behind this, but one of them is the former chairman and CEO of AMC Entertainment, Peter Brown. So anyhow, there you go.
Well, I like that the approach that you've just taken there. That for Best Buy, it might be just about holding on to their existing customers, right, and giving them the reason to come back. And it isn't about kind of attract the garage sale guys who want to give away their junk, and this reeks, but. I'm not a big fan of what this is now that you pointed this out. So, but I am a big fan of FrontFlip, and I think that a FrontFlip Best Buy combination would be perfect.
There you go. All right. You heard it here first.
And if it happens, it's because of us. Our second story, this was a huge story when it broke last week. We decided to defer it a week so that we could actually have some time to play around with it. It was the Facebook graph search. And this is so significant because of a number of things. Obviously, because it's the first time that they've opened up this social graph to this kind of deep search. I mean, they actually put a search around it for the first time. And of course, the flip side of it is that, hey, is this a serious privacy issue because of the fact that you can do such search? And has it been activated for you, Asif, yet?
Yeah. I mean, this is a huge undertaking for Facebook to open this thing up. You have to. I mean, and in some respects, for me, the key piece around this is how they actually finally get to mobile. We can talk about that, but I'd love your comments on it first, and then I'll weigh in this.
Sure. Well, yeah, because I'm gonna bring mine up here because I just did a quick search, and this is where Springsteen comes into it. I did a quick search for fans of Bruce Springsteen who live in Ottawa, Ontario. I just happened to be at the top of the list because I think it's me. I don't think it's indicative of the fact that I'm a big fan. And then my brother is second, and my sister is next. But that is not what I wanted to show you. It's the fact that everybody beyond that is not a friend of mine. We are all brothers and sisters in the great cause, but we are not friends on Facebook. None of these people, as I scroll through this, and this list is endless. And it's crazy because if you look at it on the right-hand side of the screen, and for you who aren't watching this and you're listening, on the right hand of my screen, it says more than 1,000 people meet the criteria of fans of Bruce Springsteen who live in Ottawa, Ontario. Not surprising, mind you. I think that number is low. And some of you might think it's high. But it's the granularity with which I can drill down here. It's absolutely crazy what I can do. I can actually pull up, people who their education levels. I can distill it down by their degrees, by when they graduated, who they're married to, who their cousins are. This is a treasure trove of data for marketers. It is incredible, and I think I'm mixed on this. Is that this is ultimate segmentation. But then again, this is also ultimate invasion of privacy because my guess is none of these people that are listed on this page are actually the ones that signed up and said, "Yeah, I don't mind having my data being displayed like that." It tells you everything about them, and that is surprising, frightening, but it is huge for demographic data. It just shows you how much that Facebook collects.
Yeah. Well, I'll agree with the comment on the privacy issues around this. I think there's a lot of risk here on the part of Facebook to go down this road. But from a location perspective, there's an awesome
incredible.
It was interesting. I was reading Damian Rolson wrote a piece on Street Fight. About this, and I like how he put it. He basically put this little chart together that said, here are the kinds of things that you can do with this. I can find restaurants that my friends like. I can find restaurants near me that my friends like. I can find restaurants near me that my friends like who like Pokemon. I can find restaurants near me that my friends like who like Pokemon and also work at Starbucks. And what they like. So it's just this kind of like ongoing amorphous, ability to kind of just further and further segment. And as you said, they don't even have to be friends. Like it's just people like that are on, Facebook. And that's the risky part. It becomes if you think about, in some respects, if you think about that whole market that we saw a year and a half ago, around the Belugas of the world and the GroupMe's and all of that, which are location-based messaging and social discovery platforms around finding people around you that you don't know and trying to hook up with them for whatever reason, whether it be, you like the same kind of food or you actually want to hook up with them. In some respects, we're not talking about something that different here. And we saw the failure of that market. So I wonder, how this data gets used, except for by brands and marketers that really want to find and target specific individual users, which for me then crosses the privacy boundary.
Well, there's no other reason to do this, right? For the average user, I mean, maybe I'm interested in I don't have a lot of friends on Facebook. I have enough where I know every one of them, maybe I have 175 people that I've connected with, and I don't have 5,000, and I'm interested in certain things with them, so I can do this. I can use the graph search to find sushi restaurants that my friend in Vancouver has recommended, right? And I think that is where this really starts to kick in. But you mentioned it very well, is that the web is to me irrelevant. Like this experience on the web is irrelevant. The experience on mobile is where it has to happen. And the experience on mobile has to be part of the DNA of the operating system of the phone that I'm using. So it's always on. It's inferring based on my actions what I should be doing next, and it knows that if I'm in Vancouver or if I'm in Toronto, that it pulls that social graph. I hate using that word, but that social graph from Toronto and makes recommendations based on just that segment of the people that I know who have maybe gone to 14 sushi restaurants or 15 sushi restaurants and make a recommendation. It has to get that smart before this really, really, really becomes. I spent some time with Dave Lieb from Bump today, and he talks about the transition from the age of intent, which is you doing something, initiating something, to the age of influence or inference. Sorry, right. And that's what has to happen here, is that Facebook has to be that inference engine based on everything it knows about me, and that's where mobile comes in for these guys. And so I give this a on the web. But when it comes to mobile, their implementation there has got to be stellar. You agree with that?
Yeah, I completely agree. I got nothing else to add to that. It's they got to be really careful. They got to implement this thing properly. Personally, I think there's a lot of risk. I don't think there's obvious value for brands in this used in a right way. I don't see consumers, like the average user of Facebook, really leveraging this. I mean, the stalkers that are on Facebook are stalkers, and I don't mean that as in, stalkers. I mean the people who are on Facebook, lurkers. The voyeurs that are on Facebook, the lurkers that are there, will get some kicks out of something like this, but it's not something that's going to be used by the masses.
No, I would agree. The data's there. So that's our assessment. What do you think? Reach out, let us know what you think if we're way off, but I will withhold judgment on all of this to see what their mobile implementation of this is, because I believe that this could be the future of Facebook as a result of what they do on mobile. It could either be the future or it'll be just another humdrum, ho-hum experiment. But mobile, I think, is where this is going to be won or lost for them. And if you're surprised that there are more than 1,000 Bruce Springsteen fans in Ottawa, I just feel sad. Show the man a little respect. All right, our third story. This is interesting. The challenge we've always seen, or what we've always heard from sites like Pinterest, is how much revenue it drives. Right? That people click through all of these pins that you're putting up there to product, and they're closing sales. And then there's this company called, or this website launches called The Hunt, and they're telling you that no, in fact, only a small percentage, less than 20% of actual products that are being pinned lead to lead to a place where you can buy it. And the rest, people are just hunting to try to find those products. And that's where the hunt comes in.
And I think, I tend to agree with this. Obviously, I have no data to back it up, but the sentiment of it, I tend to agree with. A lot of the stuff I see on Pinterest, and I'm not, a big user of Pinterest, but a lot of the stuff that I see on it is really just ideas and inspiration and stuff that people look at and go, yeah, I really like that. I'm going to try and, make one of those myself, right? Or, it's ideas for, recipes and meals or crafts or, whatever it is. And it's an inspiration as opposed to a product that I'm bookmarking to say, I'm going to go and buy that thing, that specific item. So yeah, I can definitely see that.
So explain what it is, Asif. Just a little bit of background for this is that ultimately this is people post those photos up that they want to buy, but there's no link to a buy and they can't find it. So this reminded me of Project Noah for like wayward clothes, right? Like,
yes, exactly.
I want this blouse and I can't identify the species. Somebody help me. Tell me where to buy this.
Yeah, so it's called The Hunt. It officially launches on Tuesday. That would be what tomorrow, I guess,
or yesterday.
Tomorrow. Yeah. Apparently, there's 60,000 people already playing around with this thing, including a celebrity or two. One of which being Kate Middleton's stylist, apparently.
She's a celebrity.
Apparently she's a celebrity, and she's also in True Blood or something. I don't know. Anyhow, So you post a photo of something someone's wearing or a dress that you want or what have you. You specify a price range for it, um, and and um, and then people, volunteers, hunters around the country, hunt for a match of something like that. How close it needs to be to that for you. And if you buy the match, they get points. It's kind of a crazy, crazy model. It's not about the exact product. It's about, here's a dress that I really like. I post it up. And then it's about finding something that's really close to that approximates that. And these hunters are out looking for it. And if they find it and you buy the thing, then they get rewarded for that. So the guy who put this thing together is a guy named Tim Weingarten, is the founder of this thing. And he literally tries to describe this as the Angry Birds of shopping, is what he's going for. It's supposed to be more fun than Angry Birds. So there you go.
Okay. Well,
okay.
You know what?
I like the innovation. I like the thinking around this. So it could work.
I like it. I find nothing wrong with this because you know what? I had a success with Project Noah over the last weekend, actually this week, and and the wisdom of the crowd is far greater than the wisdom in my head, and I think that if this is a problem, if people are not able to find product because it's not linked to an engine or it doesn't go back to the website, and there's something ridiculous like a stat like 12,000 or 120,000 it's not that high, but some ridiculous number of Gap-related product photos are being tagged in Pinterest every minute or every hour, or something like that. I mean, I'm so vague, but it's an incredible number. And here's a testament: is that we found this weird bug in our house, and the only place I knew where to think about to put it up was Project Noah, which we've covered here many times. And within moments, I had a response that, in fact, that's a Western conifer seed bug, and it's harmless, and it actually feeds off of wasps and stuff. So it's and it was just sitting in my house. Freaked me out. It was like this big, but I tell you, crowdsourcing like this, in the way that the find or the hunt is doing,
awesome.
It's great.
And so this Tim Weingarten guy who put this thing together, he says that shopping for friends already is a game for them. This just gives them a platform to do it. So it's as simple as that. So there you go. The hunt launches tomorrow.
Or yesterday.
Check.
Or some other time. Yeah. Go to thehunt.com if you're interested, because you can take a sample of it. You can go and walk around it and see what's out there. It's pretty cool. Not a lot of Springsteen shirts. That's okay. All right, we killed that one. At least I just did with that Springsteen reference. That's two stories. All right, our fourth story, interesting China. Why don't you lead with this, Steve? Talk about this story.
Yeah. So this is Beidou and the Chinese government getting together. Beidou, or Beidou, I don't know how you say that properly. Is a company that is a massive, massive player in the market already. A big GPS system, and what they've come out with is they said, look. Why go and build your own satellite navigation system? If you're in the commercial vehicle space, we're the Chinese government. We control everything. So we're going to mandate that if you're in commercial if you have a commercial vehicle, you're going to use Beidou. And it's as simple as that. This is all about, control, mandatory, GPS tracking systems. There's a lot going on in this story behind the scenes, I am sure. And this is not the first time for the Chinese around, GPS and mapping control. I mean, when you go to Google Maps or you pull up any kind of mapping in China, the data is warped, mandatorily warped by a factor of at least 20% off scale in terms of where you actually are. So you think you're somewhere, and when you look at a map, a GPS navigation map, you're not really there. For me, this is an extension of that. It's all about control.
Yes, yeah. I can't imagine it wouldn't be. I mean, this is. not only do you lord over what your you know what the country can consume in terms of media and content, that now it's about tracking. And if they could, if you could do like the pet injections, I'm sure that the government would consider that as well. And but the speed with which they're rolling this out, they said that 80% of these big trucks and transport vehicles will be equipped by March. It just tells me that this is, I mean, there's no choice. I mean, in Canada, we had, for passenger safety, they wanted to install cameras in all cabs. And I remember that. I mean, it was 18, 24 months of discussion before this. This just rolls out overnight.
It's about national independence around satellites and GPS control. I mean, it's no different. The Russians are expanding the GLONASS satellite program. In Europe they've got Galileo going on. I mean, so this is just China saying, hey, Beidou is the platform for us. We've standardized on that. We're forcing it into all commercial vehicles. Obviously, they already have it on many other things. So there you go.
China. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to jump right into our fifth and last story. And this is so Canadian, eh? This is so Canadian. In fact, I love it. And I'm so glad that you found it. This is RinkWatch.
Yeah. So basically what it is powering local Canadian citizens to basically plot their community and their local ice rinks on a map, and for scientists, citizen scientists almost, to sort of, from an environmental perspective, track where these rinks are, monitor them year to year. The number of days that you can actually skate on the rink because of weather conditions, or the ice being melting because it's too warm or what have you. So what they're trying to do is build a data map around ice skating rinks, outdoor properties that is factoring in environmental conditions, and being able to track that over a period of time to understand what's happening in the environment by measuring ice rinks, so to speak.
Cool. So Canadian. And it's just so perfect because it's hockey. And everybody gets behind this when it comes to this. And if you see the concentration on that map, you'll quickly see that it's highly concentrated around Ontario, in southern Ontario, where it's
It's interesting though for me, like, because if I think back, and I'm sure for you too, Rob. I mean, growing up in this country, going back, now that I'm 40, going back to my childhood, like, it was a lot colder, consistently colder. We got a lot more snow on a regular basis, here in Toronto than we do now. Every community had a local ice rink, within 5 minutes walk from your house. All of that is gone. Like, we don't have that now. We don't. I mean, it's rare that we see snow here in Toronto now. It's generally pretty warm, as you alluded to at the top of the show here in Toronto. There's virtually no ice rinks out there in the community at all. For not just for environmental reasons, funding reasons, and other things too. But it's a different climate, and I can see a value in monitoring and tracking data in this respect.
Yeah, and you know what? It's even in Ottawa. This week by far was the coldest that we've seen. In fact, day before yesterday, which would have been Wednesday, the 23rd of January, was the coldest day in Ottawa in 8 years, which is pretty amazing. And in fact, for my kids, it was the coldest day of their entire lives, right? Like that's the weather has changed dramatically, but we have, I think the city has 300 outdoor rinks, right? And they're active. And we also have the canal, which is the world's second largest outdoor skating rink. It's a canal system. If you've never been to Ottawa, it's beautiful. It's how the loggers got up and down from the rivers, between the rivers, and it was and it's a tourist attraction. But the seasons are shorter and shorter and shorter, and so I love the fact that they've combined passions with monitoring what's happening and the weather patterns. So the simple things, right?
It is.
Now that we have hockey back, it's perfect. Everybody's happy. Everybody's so happy. And the Senators are 3-0.
The Leafs are not.
No, Senators are Stanley Cup bound. What? Okay, so those are the 5 stories. Those are the 5 stories. A little bit different, more opinion, and hopefully you enjoy this little change up. We just want to bring a little context into why these stories are important, and they always are. So if you have any comments on those, reach out and let us know. I told you I'm not giving you our email address. Again, you know them by now. So Asif, you had an opportunity to sit down with Grant Ritchie, who is the founder and CEO of Locationary. Why don't you set this up?
Yeah, great company. Also happens to be local here in Toronto, LBMA member company. Really like these guys. I mean, the whole location data space, place-based, the place listing data is an area that we're seeing lots of evolution right now. And one of the nice and interesting things about Locationary that you should take a look at down the road is they have a whole gamification model around accuracy and sort of checking the accuracy of data, and which is a big issue around that. So they've actually empowered people within a community to verify the data and be rewarded in a micropayments kind of structure in a game model. So really cool, interesting stuff. So here it is, Grant Ritchie, founder and CEO of Location. Well, it's that time again where we get to bring on a special guest on the show. And this week, I had the pleasure of sitting down with Grant Ritchie, founder and CEO of Locationary. Grant, welcome to This Week in Location-Based Marketing.
Thank you so much, Steve. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. It's great to have some of our LBMA members to come on the show and share, just a little bit about what you're doing. So, to kick things off, why don't you tell our audience, who Locationary is? What are you guys all about?
Locationary is all about the platform Saturn. We're building this new data management platform. It's helping marketers and publishers integrate data from multiple sources to make their data better and to help them analyze it to improve quality of their marketing campaigns and the quality of the apps that they're building.
And you're based in Toronto, is that right?
Yep, right downtown Toronto.
Right downtown Toronto. Okay. So, one of the things that when we talk about data, and obviously we have, a lot of dealings with various data companies, but one of the things that we hear over and over again about data is, problems around accuracy of that data. How do you guys deal with the accuracy issue?
Well, the accuracy issue is a huge problem because it's not just the data itself, it's how you integrate the data together with other data. Data sets are important to integrate for marketing purposes or for publishers. Nobody has a complete set of this information. You need to pull together the data pieces from many different sources. So you're dealing with the accuracy of the raw data source, but you're also dealing with the accuracy of the composite that you're building. And if you do data wrong, as Apple Maps shown, it really has a big effect on your brand. And it's not only important for that, but it's also important to get your marketing campaigns right and make sure that you're contacting the right businesses.
And so, when you talk about marketing campaigns, is that one of the primary audiences that you serve in terms of clients? Is it marketers, or is it people who simply want to have better ways to analyze their data? Who's your core constituent client? And maybe give us an example of somebody that you've been able to help.
Sure. One example is Supermedia, and we've helped them on a variety of different angles. But what they were struggling with is they had many different sources coming into their organization. They felt locked into a couple sources. They needed help in managing them and integrating them to figuring out whether sources were relevant, should be kept around. So we helped them create a data management platform inside their company so that they could take in data sources from all across their organization, merge them together, make sure that they were all working from the same data set, integrate that with better data from their data suppliers, and then take that data and help their sales force get access to better information about the businesses that they're trying to contact. So it's really creating a whole type of data backbone inside their company for managing and analyzing and integrating different data sources together.
Excellent. So I'm going to ask you to get out your kind of crystal ball a little bit and look to the future of the sort of the data analysis and gathering business. I mean, where do you see this evolving to? I mean, there's a lot of players in the space right now. Can we expect consolidation? Can we expect new products and services? And if so, kind of what do you see coming?
Yeah, I see that the internet and all the companies in the space are really trying to get better information from many different sources, and it kind of stuck in the 90s, so to speak, in that they're still sending around files to each other, large database files in proprietary formats. There's no real good way of synchronizing this information across many different organizations. And so I think we're going to see a leap into the future that as businesses start connecting with each other, It's going to make the information on the mobile apps more relevant. It's going to make marketing campaigns more specific and targeted. Advertising campaigns. We might even see mobile commerce start picking up. So I think we'll see this leap, the same leap that we saw with the internet. As data starts connecting between all these big companies, we're going to see like a new type of internet develop, and that's going to create a whole different set of mobile apps and platforms and data services. And it won't just be around selling you a large, massive database of information copied from Yellow Page books or whatever source you have. It's going to be about integrating, real-time information from, very narrow targeted segments, deeper information about products and services, ad campaigns being integrated with all this information as well. So it's kind of exciting because we're at this real cusp of businesses starting to now connect with each other, and I think that's going to play out over the next couple of years.
And so, if there's one thing you could leave our audience with in terms of why Locationary as opposed to anybody else, what is that thing?
We're the neutral data agnostic platform for marketers and publishers to manage all of their business data assets. So we don't lock you into any particular data set. We help you analyze all the different data sets, integrate as many as you have access to in a way where you don't have to worry as a marketer about bothering the tech team with your data management processes. You as a marketer can get access to our platform and do all of that stuff that traditionally those tech team people did, but doing that in our platform. So it really makes it easy to use for the marketers and publishers who are curating these data sets.
Fantastic. Well, again, we've been chatting with Grant Ritchie, founder and CEO of Locationary. For more information, you can visit them at www.locationary.com. Yep. Grant, thank you so much for joining us today and spending time on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks again.
All right, so thanks again to Grant for giving us the time and sharing a little bit more insight into the world of Locationary. For more information on that, you can check them out at www.locationary.com.
Great. Thank you, Grant. Thank you, sir. Hey, before we get into our resource, I do want to mention that I have been on Asif's request assembling all of those interviews, those little mini interviews that we've done throughout the 114 episodes of This Week in Location-Based Marketing. So I'm compiling those, and we're going to put them in a resource so you can actually just go and watch those 6-minute clips if you've missed any of those. I'm working through them. That's all I got to say, Asif, is that I'm working through them.
All right.
So we'll probably launch when we've got about 30 of them available, and then you'll be able to just see some of the insights, some of the great content that has been buried inside of these episodes for these 114 episodes. So they're coming, Asif. I promise. Now I've committed on tape.
I believe. All right.
All right, on to our resource of the week. This is, I don't even know how to take this anymore, right? It's like saying this is a Forrester report saying that proximity payment is the fastest growing segment of mobile payments. And Forrester, I don't know where these guys are like 4 years behind. Like, it just seems.
I have to agree with you on this. So they come out with this report. Mobile payments overall are expected to move toward the mainstream and reach 90 billion by 2017. They're talking about proximity payments going to jump from 4% to 45%. Well, so here's my reaction to this. I'm like, what is a mobile payment if it's not proximity based?
I think they're talking about the difference between I pick up my phone and it's like a browser, like a desktop experience where I go to Amazon and I buy something and have it shipped versus in a store making a payment. So
do we not obviously think that the majority of mobile transactions are going to happen in proximity to where I can buy the thing?
That's what floors me is that that's like saying, hey, you know what?
We don't need why are we spending money on this? This is obvious stuff.
Well, but it's like saying that cash is going to be the number one proximity payment mechanism, right? Is this like all you're doing is replacing cash with your mobile device, right?
So this is just data that obviously the mobile service providers, payments providers need something to back up what they're doing. Great, Forrester's there to back you up and give you some data, but this is the kind of stuff that it just should be so obvious that we don't need to do this research. I'm sorry. but it's there if you want it.
Well, I have no time for this kind of data, just like you, Asif. That these guys, Forrester, I think, are a little bit lost. They are peddling content that is not really content. This is, I agree. What a waste of time. What a waste of effort. But if you're looking for a distinction between the two of them, you can find this. Just do a search literally for proximity payment is fastest growing segment of mobile payments, or you could just do a search for no duh. All right, they'll probably come up at the same time.
Yeah, and I'm not to dissuade Forrester. I mean, like, they do good research. The problem I have here is that we're starting to get into this world where we keep slicing things into too fine of a segment. Like, the distinction between mobile commerce and proximity based commerce, like mobile proximity or whatever they're calling it. Do we need to make that separation? Do we need to segment out digital out of home and digital place-based, thing based on dwell time? Like, do we need to make these little fine slices? I don't think so.
Well,
but the people out there who are smarter than I think that we do. So there you go.
I wonder if it's just about satisfying, a return on investment or a statement that you made to the media or something to that extent, right? Or you've sold to your customers that this is important. But all this does for me, for Forrester, is just tell me that they're lagging behind and they need help. They need our help. They need the power of the LBMA to be able to really understand what all of this means and stop putting out this kind of ridiculous drivel. Focus the efforts on the things that make a difference, because cash is a proximity payment, right?
Yeah,
it is.
I think so.
So this is one of those things, and we're talking about. Everybody's talking about mobile wallets and NFC for payments, and hello, that's all part of this. And if these guys are just coming out with these stats, how can you believe anything else that comes from them? They need our help. Boy, they need our help. Does anybody know anybody in Forrester out there? They need our help. Please. That's it. That's our resource. You can look up the link.
So on that note.
Yeah, one more note. Asif and I want to engage with you guys, you, the fine listener. Please, you who are listening to us right now, I'm talking to you. We would love to we want to do this thing called a Hangout on Google. It's a Google Hangout, and we have solicited some ideas about what we want to talk about. We want to bring in experts. We want to engage, have a Q&A session between Asif and I. We don't want to do all the questions. We want to answer some questions if you have any. We want to start a discussion, and we're looking to do this at the beginning of February. If you have any ideas, if you have any questions that you'd like to bring up, please reach out to us by email, through Twitter. You'll see it, coming up in our Twitter stream as you're listening to it this week. We want to do a Google Hangout at the beginning of February, first week of February, so that we can actually start answering questions if you've got any. We want to really help, and this is one way that we can actually leverage what we know and the stuff and the questions that you have and bring the two together. So we're going to do a Google Hangout. So please, if you have any questions, show up.
Really excited about it. I think it's a great way to connect better with all of you out there anyways, and have that sort of one-to-one channel. So we're really looking forward to it. I'm really excited about it, and open any question out there. So let's go.
More details to come. You can sign up to our newsletters either at untether.tv or thelbma.com, and we will have an announcement in that when that comes out. It'll be in the next week or so that we solidify all of these things and the topic. But bring your questions. We might just have an open forum, and it's free. Gratis.
And one last thing too from our side, in addition to this podcast that we've been doing for 114 episodes, there's a new podcast. Is there not, Rob?
There is. Wow.
There's a new podcast. We've been growing. The audience has been growing significantly over the last year in the European market in particular, and we thought to do sort of a split out show. From the main show, the weekly show, on a monthly basis. We're going to try and do a European-only focus show. So this week in location-based marketing, the European edition will debut this week as well. So watch for that on Twitter and everywhere else. And if you're in Europe and you want to know what's going on in Europe, there it is.
And we can't do this without you. We can't do this without our partners, Street Fight and GPS Business News, who help us distribute this. We can't do this without each other, I suppose. A little bit of technology, Rogers for some of us as well. But most of all, it is the feedback and the responses and the views that we get from you who are out there listening to this right now. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And, we'll be back for episode number 115. 15 next Friday of This Week in Location-Based Marketing. And stay tuned. Start looking for the very first episode of the European edition coming up this week as well. See, until next week, man.
Cheers.
See everybody. Have a good week.